dare step foot in the places that I roam. I move quiet but don't want it loud. One wrong look and I'm clearing the crowd. Constant ring and notifications on my phone. Quit all assuming and guessing about what I be on. I don't do talk when the pressure rise. I make a man fold quick with the stare in my eyes. Don't step close, don't step close. You know the code, you know the code. Keep your doubts, keep your jokes. Quit all guessing. What I quote, Don't step close, step close. I don't know. I've been solid since the first day. Same old hunger, just a coat away. They hear rumors and they get brave. Then they switch up when I hit the wave. Bust your face and break your bones. Don't you dare step foot in the places that I roam. Constant ringing notifications on my phone. I stay locked in, never caught off tone. They want a story, I give them none. I let my silence do what they can't front. Quit all assuming and guessing about what I be on. I move sharp, make the whole room run. Don't step close, don't step close. You know the code, you know the code. Keep your doubts, keep your jokes. Quit all guessing, what close, don't step close. I don't play when I got smoke. Last one standing, still I don't brag. I just keep it tucked in the paper brand. Turn into a ghost when they see me post up near the coast. Bust your face and break your bones, don't you dare step foot in the places that I still ringing notifications on my phone. But I stay too focused to answer slow. Quit all assuming and guessing about what I be on. I got a whole life built from the ground up strong. So don't walk near like you know me well. I got my own lane, I move by myself. Don't step close, don't step close. You know the code, you know the code. Keep your doubts, keep your jokes. Quit all guessing, what I quote. Don't step close, don't step close. I don't play when I got smoke. Don't you dare step foot in the places that I roam. I move quiet but don't want it loud. One wrong look and I'm clearing the crowd. Constant ring and notifications on my phone. Quit all assuming and guessing about what I be on. I don't do talk when the pressure rise. I make a man fold quick with the stare in my eyes. Don't step close, don't step close. You know the code, you know the code. Keep your doubts, keep your jokes. Quit all guessing, what I quote. Don't step close, don't step close. I don't play when I got smoke. I've been solid since the first day. Same old hunger, just a coat away. They hear rumors and they get brave. Then they switch up when I hit the wave. Bust your face and break your bones. Don't you dare step foot in the places that I roam. Constant ringing notifications on my phone. I stay locked in, never caught off tone. They want a story, I give them none. I let my silence do what they can't front. Quit all assuming and guessing about what I be on. I move sharp, make the whole room run. Don't step close, don't step close. You know the code, you know the code. Keep your doubts, keep your jokes. Quit all guessing, what I quote. Don't step close, don't step close. I don't play when I got smoke. Last one standing, still I don't brag. I just keep it tucked in the paper bag. Every fake friend turn into a ghost when they see me post up near the coast. Bust your face and break your bones. Don't you dare step foot in the places that I roam. Constant ringing notifications on my phone. But I stay too focused to answer slow. Quit all assuming and guessing about what I be on. I got a whole life built from the ground up strong. So don't walk near like you know me well. I got my own lane, I move by myself. yourself. Don't step close, don't step close. You know the code, you know the code. Keep your doubts, keep your jokes. Quit all guessing what I quote. Don't step close, don't step close. I don't play when I got smoke.
Rise from the ruins, the soul still sing. Trauma of the past, don't bind these wings. Through fire and shadow, truth does sin. From reckoning's ashes, the soul defend. Fire shit, we on cuz history and paid the heaviest pyramid stone. Promises ghosted, exposed, marrow, broken bone and dry. Making the contract a phantom, voices from the wall. Echo, whisper, silence, holds the anthem. Broken ledger, peep the lecture, who signs for the scars. Generations built kingdoms on land and sea. Now they got us out of space, reaching for stars. Rise from the ruins, the soul still sing. Trauma of the past, don't bind these wings. Through fire and shadow, the truth does sing. From reckoning's ashes, the soul defend. Balance tip, the scales lean. You dirty crook, justice not found, pockets deep. Overlooked, why you shook? Paved streets of gold, but who paid the toll? Riches in their coffers, but they borrowed the soul. Restitution, a word heavy with weight. Who writes a check when history's late? It's only fate, mark the date. Game over. Rise from the ruins, soul still sing. Trauma of the past, don't bind these wings. The fire and shadow, the truth does sing. From reckoning's ashes, the soul defend. Rebuilt from the wreckage, brick by brick. Hands that heal, no more Houdini tricks. Restoration of soil screens for seeds. No greed, a garden blooming with truth, not just pulling the weeds. Blueprints drawn in blood, sweating and tears. Keep it stride, fix the foundation and step inside, bitch, we arrive. Rise from the ruins, soul still sing. Trauma of the past, don't bind these wings. The fire and shadow, the truth does sing. Reckoning's ashes, the soul defend.
It's that blueprint talk. Family first. Nation rise.
Strong mama in the kitchen, head wrap, stand tall. Stretch a little pot, feed five, that's y'all. Turn the food stamp line to a game plan scribble. Baby, read that sign, sound it out, break the riddle. Early in the morning, she up, eyes red. Packing little lunches, still making up the bed. Do your homework first, then you grab that phone. She the first safe place that the baby's ever known. Bills on the table, stress in the air, but she still find time just to braid up hair. Straight A's on the fridge, that's a crown on display. She say focus now, shine later, that's the way. Nation building 101. Start at home, strong mothers, focus kids. Mind stay grown, strong fathers, balance hands. Heart stay strong, get the family right. Watch the whole hood come along. Nation building 101. Brick by brick, teach love, teach law, teach mind over quick. We don't beg for a throne, we just claim that seat. One house, one block, one nation on his feet, on his feet. Strong mama at the desk, late night class notes. Studying for nursing while she zip up coats. Baby at the table doing math, same grind. 2 generations locked on the same climb. She don't let them hide from the books, no slack. Check every answer, then you run it right back. Turn card cartoons off, let a doc film play. Know where you from, then you know what to say. She clap for each win, still correcting each flaw. Teach them how to think, how to question every law. She don't raise little followers, she raising up a team. Every focused child start at somebody's dream. Nation building 101. Start at home, strong mothers, focused kids hit. Mind stay grown, strong fathers balancing. Heart stay strong, get the family right. Watch the whole hood come along. Nation building 101. Brick by brick, teach love, teach law, teach mind over quick. We don't beg for a throne, we just claim that seat. One house, one block, one nation on his feet. Strong daddy in the way, grease on his palms. Teaching little man how to tighten the arms. Keep your word like that. Discipline with patience, never swing off cap. He correct, then he hug, that's the real backbone. Show a daughter how king act calm. Tell him in the eyes when you speak, stay firm. Every choice got a cost, every loss gotta learn. He had every game on the front bleacher. Then at night, open books, he a home teacher. Balanced in the spirit, he ain't ruled by rage. He just set clear lines like bars on a page. Nation building 101. Start at home, strong mothers, focus kids. Mind stay grown, strong fathers balance hands. Heart stay strong, get the family right. Watch the whole hood come along. Nation building 101. Brick by brick, teach love, teach law, teach mind over quick. We don't beg for a throne, we just claim that seat. One house, one block. On his feet, on his feet, on his feet. On his feet. On his feet.
Yeah.
On his feet. Teach law.
What's FACn, Brody?
Ah, shit, man. Just taking a cruise
I
through
see
town, man. What's going on with my bro?
you always been in corners, man.
You feel me? Hey, man, you know how this shit go in the bay, man. You feel me? What's up with
Yes,
the
sir.
people,
Yes,
man?
sir.
Power to the people. What's up, Brody? My bad.
All power to the people, man. I can't call it on here, man. I figure I'd do a little something before I get my
Yeah.
day running.
Hell yeah. I seen bro go on. I was in the post office. I'm like, man, let me get on here and show some of these historical buildings and shit out here, man. You feel me?
Oh yeah, hold on. Let's see what you got. Let me
Man,
pull
I
it
ain't
up
near
on.
none right now, but these are
Oh,
some of our
okay.
ancestors shit right here that they splitting up into duplexes and shit. This is one house, but they split that shit up.
Right.
You feel me? So I just hell yeah, man. Huh? Let me see some other shit. Let me get by some other shit. I was just peeping this morning. Some good, nice ass architect and shit out here. But yeah, aren't you originally from Cali or where you from, big dog?
Yeah, I'm from Oakland.
Okay, Smokeland. Okay, shout out to you. Feel me?
Yeah, ESO.
Hell yeah, straight up. You feel me? Shout out to the east side. You feel me?
Yeah.
Straight up. But yeah, man,
Yes,
I
sir.
don't mean to stop the build. I came up when I'm by some historical shit. Get y'all
All
input
right,
on
bro.
it.
For
Where
sure. For sure.
you been back to
Stone
Oakland lately?
walls. Yeah. Whole block shake. Yeah. Look up. Too late. I'm guys in the middle of the square to get back. Get back. Get back. Big steps, every little hater looking like a snake. Like a snake. Jaw wide, let it all fry. Turn them into ash. King of the fall line. Every time I snap, that's a new crack. I'm Godzilla when I breathe, that's a siren in the sky. Whole crowd freeze when they look into my eyes. You can build walls, I'ma treat them like glass. King of the fault line, every time I move, that's a world map. Crawled out the trench, skin still drips out. Scars on my bills, whole life my fault now. For the quake and the chaos, heartbeat, drum break sounds. You play tough, tighten. You chase clout, I chase lightning. You want throne, but your bones too light. I use stones like stones when I skip them in the night. Footprint, whole block outline. Name ring out like a landline. You talk big, but your frame bite size. I chewed out, spit flames in your timeline. Godzilla in the middle of the city, better get back. Get back, get back, get back. Big steps, every little hater looking like a snack. Like a snack. Like a snack. Jaw wide, let it all fry. Turn them into ash. King of the fall line. Every snap, that's a new crash. I'm Godzilla when I breathe. That's a siren in the sky. Whole crowd freeze when they look into my eyes. You can build walls, I'ma treat them like glass. King of the fault line. Every time I move, there's a world map. You wanna roar like this? Gotta live through the deep like this. Gotta sleep with a teeth like this. Whole life in a beast like this. Storm in my chest, I'm a walking reactor. Every step right a chapter. Waves in my wake, that's disaster. Still stand tall in the after that they drop bombs. I evolve on them, turn scars into armor, then stomp on them. Whole sea part when I run from the smoke, I drop from it. Who you call when the sky turn red? Name on the hills, carved in dread. But I learned to love that fear. Every scream my cheer, yeah, I build my bed, so I too loud, too big, too rough. If they say you a monster, good, go grow that tough. I'm Godzilla in the middle of the city, better get back. Get back, get back, get back. Big steps, every little hater looking like a snack. Like a snack, like a snack. Jaw wide, let it all fry. Turn them into ash. King of the fall line. Every time I snap, that's a new crash. I'm Godzilla when I breathe, that's a siren in the sky. Whole crowd freeze when they look into my eye. You can build walls, I'ma treat them like glass. King of the fault line. Every time I move, that's a world map.
Yes, sir. Let me see. I ain't been to the Bay or Oakland in, let me see. It's been a minute, man. Like seems like every time I have to go out that way, it's over a funeral or something.
That's unfortunate. But yeah,
Yeah,
man, you ain't missing out on that. You feel me? We still trying to get it together out here too. You feel me? We got the Muslims out. Well, I ain't gonna get into that, but yeah, we still trying to get it together, bro.
hey, every time I go out there, I be looking around like, man, this shit changing.
By the second, bro. You feel me? The more they gentrify it, this shit, man.
Especially the demographic.
Yeah, that shit. They trying to, you feel me? They trying to outnumber us, you feel me? But it's a tit for tat thing. But yeah, you know how that shit go, bro.
Right. Live and learn. What's FACn with you, man? I got a little some news you can use or lose. It don't make me no difference. A little OPEC news and some agricultural news. I like
And
to
greetings
cover
to the
current
chat
shit.
as you guys come in.
I like to cover current shit that gonna affect the nigga everyday life. You feel me? May or may not. Flip a coin, goddamn it. Flip a coin. You had to use your GPS. I remember when they changed East 14th to International Boulevard or something like that. I said, what the fuck is this? No, wait, was it? What did they change to international? Yeah, it was. Yeah. Crazy shit. All right, come on, Mike. Let's see what Mike Adams talking about.
So the United Arab Emirates has, or they've announced they're going to leave OPEC. Of course, OPEC is the cartel, the price-setting cartel among the oil-producing nations of mostly the Persian Gulf, but also outside of that with the OPEC plus 10 arrangement. Basically, OPEC it's a consensus for a price control cartel where each participant in OPEC agrees to set a limit on how much oil it will produce in order to maintain sufficient scarcity and price levels for oil all around the world. And since Saudi Arabia is probably the largest producer there, and the Saudis, they want to maximize their revenues over time, this makes good economic sense for those countries. It's in their self-interest to have some level of price controls, although it's not in the interests of the rest of the world. And, because
Hold on, now what you say? It's too short now. You talking about from internet? They changed it to Too Short Street Boulevard. What? Oh hell no! Tie Short, huh?
That's wild. Shout out to Short Dog. But yeah, they've been doing that. Name magazine after E40. That street you just named after, bro. They've been doing that. Niggas been getting keys to the cities. Well, I ain't gonna say that, but yeah, man, come on, man.
Hey yo, I ain't know that. That's some new shit to me.
Hell yeah, they just changed Magazine Street to E40 way or E40 something. And yeah, that sis and you just indicated that to us right there with that Too Short change. That's what's up, but hopefully they really doing something for the community and the youth and shit, but we still think we fucking black. I want to sit down with them niggas about that, you feel me? But yeah.
Right. All them niggas got roots from the South too.
Especially Mr. Fab, you feel me? That's my nigga. I've been fucking with bro a lot on Instagram and shit. I got to go pull up on that nigga, the Andreas or whatever that. He got one of them bars where he doing open mic every night. You feel me? I forget the name off him. I got to go pull up on him. But yeah, man, they be having the Muslims out there and the Africans. Like, bro, we really got to sit down with these niggas. At Nanya.
Right. Like y'all doing too much. Yeah, y'all need to redirect that shit. Like my nephew and nieces went to school with Fab. Yeah.
Okay, word.
And my older siblings went to school with Too Short and them and shit. Some crazy shit.
Just a matter of time till we had that fish fry with them. You feel me?
Right.
prices are kept artificially high by artificial oil scarcity. Okay, so that's what OPEC actually achieves, is artificial scarcity. They have the ability to ship more oil. I mean, other than right now during the war, but normally they have the ability to ship more oil. They just choose not to because they want to keep the prices high. So the UAE, which currently I think it's set at about 3 million barrels per day, is its limit. It has the infrastructure to ship 4 or 5 million barrels of oil per day. And it wants to do that, especially since it's lost a lot of money during this war because of the inability to ship oil. So the UAE has decided to leave OPEC. And OPEC has existed since, I think, 1960. It's been around a while. This is a major deal. This is a major blow to the structure of OPEC, and it will lead to oil price instability. Now, UAE, it will decide it's going to ship more oil to make more money, and it may encourage other countries to say, well, why should we stick to our limits if the UAE is not sticking to their limits? You see, that's where this is going to start kicking off. What if Kuwait says, well, we want to ship more oil, or, you know, whoever, or the Saudis for that matter, or Iraq, you know? Over time, lots of different countries could say, well, we want to ship more oil too. And it's in the self-interest of each of those countries to ship the maximum amount of oil that they can produce, even though that hurts the other members of the region by making their oil less valuable, right? So it's a very interesting conundrum. Market dynamics, supply and demand, global pricing, etc. But you know who else is going to be hurt by this decision? It's going to be the U.S. oil companies. See, here's what's going to happen. Once the Strait of Hormuz reopens, which I assume will happen eventually, although it could be many months away, and there's going to be a lot of economic damage inflicted upon the world because of this current problem. But once it reopens, there's going to be a glut of oil supply that those countries are trying to get rid of. Right now, they're actually flaming off some of the excess oil in Iran because they just can't ship it, and they don't want to close down the flow of oil in the wells because that causes long-term degradation of oil production, like permanent damage to those oil wells. So they keep it flowing, and they're just, well, flaring off, I guess is the right term, not flaming off. That's more like a gay pride parade type of thing. See the flamer over there is flaming off. No, this is flaring off. Anyway, the oil producers in America are going to be hurt by lower prices because, again, once the strait opens up, there's going to be a glut of oil supply that is available at a very low price as these countries are trying to just get rid of the oil they have sitting around. So much oil, they're overflowing with oil. But now that lower price won't last very long. It may only last a few weeks. But you're going to be shocked at how low oil goes. Like, oil will absolutely go under $50 a barrel spot price during that time period. And that's going to hurt U.S. oil exporters who are making huge money right now on the exports because of the scarcity. But, you know, it's wartime scarcity. But the after effect of that is that U.S. oil producers are going to face mass bankruptcy 1 or 2 years away because the global oil prices will be suppressed because of UAE leaving OPEC and probably other members also deciding to leave OPEC as well. So probably during this war, we could see oil hit $200 a barrel or even higher, depending on how long it lasts and how much infrastructure gets destroyed. I mean, it's not unreasonable to see oil at $300 a barrel, depending on the level of destruction that happens. But that might be the last time we ever see oil at $300 a barrel or whatever it hits, 150, 200, because after this war, oil is going to get cheaper. It's going to get a lot cheaper. And that actually means that there's going to be downward pressure on food prices eventually, right? There's also the fact that probably millions of people will starve and die in 2027 because of the current situation.
Idiots.
So there will be fewer people, that is lower demand for food, even though there will be much higher.
No, I was just out there. Yeah, if niggas just sit there and go hungry and die, that's just fucking idiotic. If you niggas don't start stealing food or however niggas gotta eat, man, they stealing from us. But I know they ain't talking specifically to us, but yeah, I'm gonna mute up. My bad.
I think that's more geared towards like the third world, second world countries. Like
Okay,
like first world countries gonna catch that crunch, but it won't be that bad. You know what I'm saying?
Word.
But I'm still sympathetic to those third world, second world countries, man. You know what I'm saying? I don't like to see nobody done bad.
At all. You feel me?
Yeah.
Supply eventually because energy will be cheaper, farming will be less expensive to carry out, and we will have abundant food crops once the fertilizer gets back into production. So you see, talk about whiplash here. Times are going to be very difficult for the next year or couple of years. And yeah, millions of people are going to die, and economies are going to get wrecked, and farmers are going to go out of business. So that's already happening, mass bankruptcies, etc. But all of that is going to get reversed when the Strait of Hormuz opens up again, when the oil starts to flow in record volumes, when the fertilizer starts to flow, and oil is going to get cheaper. As that takes place, man, it's going to be a time of cheaper food, cheaper oil, cheaper transportation, etc. Nevertheless, in the long run, transportation is moving over to electric vehicles anyway, and the power grid is going to be providing, the primary power for those vehicles, whether it's from solar or coal or natural gas or fusion. So the era of oil is slowly coming to an end. Not in the next decade, don't get me wrong, but eventually, slowly coming to an end. It's declining, let's say, and it's being made more obsolete by electric vehicles. Even Tesla has the electric semis that can cruise down the highway with substantial range on nothing but batteries. So these are game changers. Now, anyway, bottom line, don't take any of this as investment advice. I'm not an investment advisor. These are just my observations and conclusions. And I don't bet on oil markets because I'm too busy building platforms and things. Who's got time to wreck your sleep trying to monitor oil prices? Come on. I don't do that. But anyway, you can follow my work at brightvideos.com, and be sure to check out our sponsor's website, SAT123.com. That's the satellite phone store for BlackBerryHandy.com or and a certain selected set of essential oils. It's called Vital Guard. Then you can use that.
Oh shit!
Is a 2 ounce.
Ain't buying none of that shit, Mike.
Just diluted with water or.
Oh, you want me to pause you and then fast forward? Is that what the problem is?
It also, that's
Hey, quit bullshitting.
why I call it Vital Guard.
Vital Guard these nuts. Fuck out of here. What you got in there? Let me look at them ingredients. Damn, where'd it go?
Use our AI engine called brightanswers.ai is by itself that are the way that's colloidal silver first aid with essential oils. There's some of these oils that are the same across both of those. Just the lemon by itself has amazing properties. So if you want to find out more about these particular ingredients, you can use our AI engine called Bright
for them ingredients you was talking about, but I ain't tripping.
Answers hundreds of answers. So .com, I certainly do. Our world has become far too dependent on an energy supply chain and a fertilizer supply chain, which are intertwined, obviously, out of the Persian Gulf area, and both of which are temporarily severed. We don't know how long
was back in.
This is going to last, but it exposes the vulnerability of our highly complex society with these long supply chains that are under single points of failure. And the point of failure in particular right now, of course, is the Strait of Hormuz. It's a geographical point of failure. And it shows how just one crazy country, like in this case, Trump's America, can disrupt the global supply chains of these necessary components for energy, fertilizer, and food, and plunge much of the world into a spectrum of distress. It could be recession, depression, collapse, famine, just depending on the country, depending on the resilience factors that are at play around the world. But what does this teach us? That redundancy and decentralization are the key concepts that will protect in the future. And yet, redundancy at the local level, like, hey, you should grow some of your own food, you should make some of your own medicine, you should even produce some of your own energy with solar panels, etc. Kinds of wise messages are rarely promoted by media or governments or corporations, etc. Typically, the message that's sent to everybody in society is, oh, you should count on the government, depend on the government, apply for food stamps, let the government take care of you. Oh, you need rent subsidies. Oh, the government will tell you what to eat. The government will tell you what's safe. And it's this reliance on government that actually is going to get people killed, in many cases, as this situation unfolds and these scarcities are really driven home, because many of them are quite serious. And we're probably facing tens of millions of people starving to death around the world over the next, let's say, 18 months or so, depending on how long the Strait of Hormuz stays closed. So the messaging that is broadcast to the people is exactly the opposite of what they need to hear. And that's why people like me are censored, because I have the opposite message of the establishment. I tell you, don't depend on the government. Become self-reliant. Grow your own food. Learn your own skills. Own your own land, right? Make your own medicine. Learn about natural medicine. Learn how to do these things, and you will be more self-reliant. Have your own real money, like gold and silver. Get off the grid as much as you can. Have your own electricity if you can, solar, or have a generator, or both. These messages are intrinsic to human survival and resilience, and yet they are the first kind of messages that are censored or ridiculed or blacklisted or deplatformed or demonetized across all the platforms of content out there. And remember, I've been censored since 2014, so 12 years of being blacklisted and censored, because my message is pro-human, pro-resilience, pro-self-reliance. And that is exactly the message the governments don't want you to hear. And you have to ask yourself, why? Why? What's the big underlying reason behind that? And it's because they don't want you to be hard to kill. See, if you follow my work, if you read my books, if you listen to my podcasts, if you, watch my videos, etc., you're going to be hard to kill. You're going to be hard to control. You're going to be hard to trick. You're going to be hard to bankrupt. You're going to be hard to starve out. All these things. And, because you're going to be more resilient, more redundant, more self-reliant, better informed, etc. That means that you can survive the mass extermination agenda as it accelerates, an agenda that will, of course, consume a great many other people who are not very self-reliant, and who simply, in many cases, they don't have the knowledge that you and I have, the knowledge that I share and that I teach. And so the most important information that can keep people alive is precisely the information that is most heavily prioritized for silencing. That's a fact. And that tells you that the plan really is depopulation. So they silence all the voices that told the truth about vaccines, or COVID vaccines, or flu shots, or whatever. That's all. They don't want people that vaccines are dangerous. They want people to participate in their own medically induced slow euthanasia, which is what vaccines are. And so they silence all voices in opposition to that. But they all want you because you're easier to coverage. So it's very clear, actually, that it's a binary option here. You can either listen to people like me, and there are others. I'm not the only one, obviously, but people that promote self-sufficiency, redundancy, localized living, etc. And you're going to do well. Or you can just tune in to the establishment and follow what they tell you, and you will expire on schedule as they work to depopulate the planet of humans. And that's where most people are. And what's funny is those people think that they believe in science. They all lined up and obediently took the jabs, and a lot of them are dead now because of that. But they think that, if the FDA says this food ingredient is safe, then it must be safe. I'm going to go ahead and eat that. Okay, well, that's your choice, but you're going to commit a slow, like seed oil suicide, or a sodium nitrite poisoning and turbo. Cancer or whatever. The food supply is designed to kill you slowly. The vaccines are designed to kill you a little more quickly. And war and power grid failure is designed to kill you rapidly. And the globalists will use all these different vectors and methods to kill off different groups of people at different times, with the same shared ultimate goal of massively reducing existing human populations by billions of people, by the way. So, many of the so-called accidents, or the wars, or whatever, these are not accidents. These are all part of a plan. COVID was engineered. The pandemic was rigged. The current war in the Middle East is also intentional. It's also rigged on purpose to cut off energy and fertilizer. Of course it is. The sucking the CO2 out of the atmosphere, carbon sequestration.
Roger W. What's FACn?
That's engineered to cause crop failures and to contribute to global mass famine. Of course it is, because if you take CO2 out of the atmosphere, crops don't produce as much.
Is this shit even playing anymore? This motherfucking, this shit going crazy. Hold on. Let me see something.
Much. As they're taking away the fertilizer too. I mean, think about it, folks. Everything that's happening, so when the lights go out and the power grid fails, it's not a accident. It's not a coincidence. It's not a cyber attack. It's a plan. It's a plan to turn off the lights and kill millions of people who live in the cities. Or to turn off the lights to a whole country and kill all the people in that country, like Trump recently caused to happen with Cuba. The effort was to try to kill all the Cuban people. Well, it didn't work. Their lights are back on, and they didn't freeze to death because they don't live in a cold climate, They were able to make do. So, but these are all the same thread, the same exact thread. And that's what you need to understand. You need to step back. You need to put on the depopulation glasses, like X-ray vision. And when you put those on and you look at the events that are happening happening in the world around you, you realize it all has a common goal. And the goal is mass extermination of existing human populations. Whether it's censorship, whether it's the genocide being carried out by Israel, whether it's war in the Middle East, whether it's shutting off fertilizers, whether it's, financial collapse, banking collapse, whatever, all of it has the same common thread. The hormone disruptors in the food supply, the legal immunity for the pesticide and herbicide companies that sell herbicides like atrazine that are gender bender chemicals that can cause widespread infertility. Come on, this is not a coincidence. It's all on purpose. It's all part of the same agenda for mass human extermination and depopulation, obviously. And the rebuke against that used to be, well, why would they kill off people when the governments are collecting all the tax revenues and all the benefits of the people's work? Yeah, well, now there's AI. So AI on a computer takes over human cognition. AI embodied in a robot can take over human labor over time eventually. So they don't need humans. They don't. So that whole argument goes out the window. They don't need humans. The governments of the world can shore up their own power. They can, build the weapons that they want to build. They can accumulate the wealth that they want to accumulate just using artificial intelligence. They don't need humans any longer. And humans become a liability on the balance sheet for those governments because they have to pay for Medicare and Social Security and food stamps and pensions and everything else. So they're like, how do we get rid of these liabilities? Oh, yeah, well, we'll fake a cyber attack on the power grid, turn off the lights for 6 months. And then, kaboom, look, our balance sheet looks better now. We've reduced our annual outlays by $3 trillion because those people are no longer living. See, that's how it actually works at the highest level of government. They don't care about their people. They don't care about human lives. They don't care about you. They just care about their own power. And if you're in the way, they'll find a justification and get rid of you and a mechanism to pull it off. It's very clear. All right, so bottom line is I cover this topic quite a bit, and it's irrefutable that depopulation is part of the agenda. If you want to hear more coverage, and plus my interviews with really interesting people, like I just interviewed Colonel Douglas McGregor, I just interviewed Cyrus Jansen, for example, with news out of China. I was just interviewed by Maria Z. I'm on Redacted with some frequency as well. I'm interviewing a lot of interesting people. You can check out all my interviews and podcasts at brightvideos.com, and you can read my articles at naturalnews.com. And I've got infographics there that are also really popular. People love them, and thank you for sharing them. In fact, Professor Jiang, the very popular Chinese, economic educator, very popular guy. I love his channel. He used one of my infographics recently talking about the attacks on infrastructure, refineries, and fertilizer. And so he put that up on the screen. So yeah, Professor Jiang is reading my stuff too, and so are a lot of other people. So check it all out. Again, naturalnews.com and brightvideos.com. And if you want to support my work, you just enjoy ultra clean foods and superfoods and certified organic products so check it out, and thank you for listening. Take care. Okay, I've got some cool good news to report. I've got some upgrades to share with you, and for the first time in a long time, I'm going to ask for your help here. And what am I talking about? brightlearn.ai. As you know, this is the book creation engine that I built. What was it? Like 4 or 5 months ago, and it has now published 53,000 books. I know, that's a lot of books. And as you know, my mission for brightlearn.ai is to reduce the cost of learning to zero, to allow people to create books on any topic they want, including instructional books. Ultimately, my goal has been to do it in multiple.
Hey, that's a tool to write some Aboriginal books.
Languages and multiple formats. And I'm here today to announce that some of that has just been achieved. So
What's up with this damn internet, though?
you probably know that we have hundreds of
Okay,
audiobooks that are now available based on the popular books that have been created on the site. And of course, you can download those full-length audiobooks. Just go to books.brightlearn.ai, and there you'll be able to see the audiobooks button or tab. On that, you can see all the audiobooks. You can download them one at a time. I don't yet have like a collection available for a download, but that's something I'm pondering how to do. In any case, they're full-length audiobooks. There's no copyright protection, no digital protection. They're just straight downloadable MP3s. And by the way, all the audio of those audiobooks is produced in my local data center, or I should say my mini data center. It's 48 workstations that I have with GPUs. And
I'm just saying, with all the information that the community has put out there, it could be a tool, definitely, to write some accurate books. You even get that shit printed out in hard copies, paperback, whatever the hell you want. Digital copies. I like to make hardback copies, though. I need to get on there and see how that actually works, just to get the gist of it. You feel me? Yeah.
I get to use them for different things, and so I've got a set of them that's dedicated to audiobook production for the actual audio files, which for some books is a lot. You know, it's like 12 or 15 hours of audio, so do the math on that. It's a lot of audio. Anyway, that's available, and there are more audiobooks every day. In fact, let's see, I'm looking over. There's an audiobook being produced right now. Hold on. What is this one? It's The Suppression of Chlorine Dioxide Research. Oh, I'm sorry. That's the subchapter name. The book is Chlorine Dioxide, All You Ever Wanted to Know and More. There you go. So there's a book that would be censored everywhere else. And yet, on brightlearn.ai, you get to learn about chlorine dioxide, and you get to download the full audiobook, and it's all free, and it's open source, essentially. You know, I mean, really, it's offered under a license that is attribution license, right? So you can publish it, you can copy it, you just have to give attribution to brightlearn.ai. So with that in place, here's what's new. Couple of things. First of all, because of the improving economics of token costs, token generation, and some clever things we've been able to do, I have been able to raise the free tier of the book site from 3 chapters to 5 chapters, which means you can now generate a 5-chapter book completely free of charge, no token, no fee. It's just, you just register, you know, it's just your email address, and you can generate a 5-chapter book. And of course, we do the artwork for you. It's all automatic, and then we do the research for you. We do the writing and the citations, the packaging, the PDF that's downloadable, and then the hosting of the book on the site. Oh, and by the way, we've had almost 367,000 downloads of these books so far, and counting, right? So 5 chapters is now the free tier. And if you have a token for BrightLearn, and you can get a token from our store, either healthrangerstore.com or bright.shop, which is the store that has pretty much the same products, but that store is dedicated to supporting the Bright universe of sites that we have, like brightanswers.ai or brightlearn.ai. Anyway, if you have a token, then you can generate books that are even larger now. I think it goes up to 20 chapters, or maybe it's 22 chapters, whatever, or 21. Anyway, we've upgraded that. So again, you can create a 5-chapter book free of charge with no token. All right, so that's very cool. And on top of that, the other cool thing I want to announce is that we now have books in Espanol. Like I promised, huh? So I am looking at that right now. Let me bring up the en español. I love saying it that way. It's fun. Let's see. El código de la diabetes descifrado. Oh, yeah. Okay. Here's one. Mente librada. Yeah. Very good stuff. Here we go. Nutrición sagrada. That sounds important. Let's see. What are some of these? Oh, péptido poder. So there we go. Oh, poder de los péptidos. There we go. The power of peptides, right? So anyway, I'm reading the book covers, and not all the covers are perfect yet. There are still a few little glitches. But we now have, gosh, it's over 100 books in Espanol that are available right now. So what you can do is just go to books.brightlearn.ai, and you can click on En Español, and then you can see the books, and you can click on the books, and you can either download the PDFs or you can read them on the website. You can share the URLs, whatever. Now, this is where I'm going to ask for your help. Because of the economics situation improving, I've been able to make our costs lower for producing books and doing the translations and so much more. Of course, most of this is due to open source models, some of which came out of China. So I got to thank them for the open source models. But here's the thing. I am asking you to help me spread the word about this site. And you can do it in a couple of ways. Of course, you can tell people about the fact that they can create a 5-chapter book on anything they want, completely free of charge, with the cover art and everything, and that the research is amazing because it researches hundreds of thousands of science papers. And, what is it, 140,000 books now? I forgot the exact number because it keeps going up because I have a bunch of automated systems building it. We're adding books and we're adding articles constantly to the indexing engine, which is our own private indexing engine. It's completely unique. Nobody else in the world has this set of content. And every book that you want to write is composed based on research from our in-house hosted, index document library. And so it can save you, hundreds of hours of research to write the book that you want. So anyway, number one, tell people about the site now that it's a 5-chapter book that's completely free. That makes it.
Yeah, but what if you want to give it information for a book you want to write? I don't want your in-house data. I missed the part. Did he say that you can input your own shit? I might have missed it.
Extremely usable for lots and lots of people. So tell them about it, and tell them about the 53,000 books. Oh, I'm sorry. It's 54,000 books. I just took a look now. 54,000 books. And they can download the books completely free. So again, I'm reducing the cost of knowledge to 0, but I need your help to tell the world about this. Of course, nobody in the mainstream media is going to cover this because, oh my God, it has books about DMSO and chlorine dioxide and how to be free and about the benefits of gold and, therapeutic peptides and how to grow your own food and things like that, right? How to be free. Well, they don't want you to know about that. So they won't tell you about this site. But the second thing I want to ask your help on is if you speak Spanish or if you know someone who does, spread the word about the Espanol book titles that we have now in our little biblioteca, So right now I think it's under 200 books in Espanol, but of course that's going to steadily increase to the point where we will have soon 500 books or 1,000 books in Espanol. And again, they're all freely downloadable and they can be shared. They can be shared, with my permission. Just give us credit. That's all we ask for. So, see, the thing is, a lot of citizens that live in Spanish-speaking countries, most people there have access to the internet, but they're still impoverished. In terms of, they're not going to spend like $10 per audiobook with Audible.com, or they're not going to buy books from Amazon and have them shipped, typically, right? I've created the system now where any person who speaks Spanish anywhere in the world can, regardless of their income level, they can now learn everything that they want to learn for free. All they need is internet access. You can read these books on a mobile phone. And you can also use our engine on a mobile phone. You can create your own books on a mobile phone. So this is, it's like a breakthrough of knowledge for those Spanish speakers, especially at the lower income levels, who may not typically be able to afford purchasing a bunch of books. But now they can learn everything. They can learn, mathematics. They can learn about history. They can learn about food production. They can learn about finance and economics. So many things, natural health, diabetes, natural cures, all kinds of things. And if the causes of autism, by the way, I've got a whole book. What is it? Vacunas causan autismo, right? So that's a book that I wrote, actually, and so now that's translated into Espanol. So you can spread the word, if you know people.
So you can write some American books. Get some American books wrote and translate them bitches in every language. AI is diabolical. Very useful tool if utilized right.
Who are Spanish speakers and who would appreciate this content. There's no tricks to this or anything. This isn't some giant trick. It's like, no, I just want to reach 1 billion people. That's my goal. And a lot of people speak Spanish. And of course, this isn't the last language that I'm going to be, using for translation here. So next, I haven't decided what language to go with next. I might just do French because it's a pretty easy thing to do French after I've nailed down Spanish. But I want to do Russian and Chinese. I think I might do Chinese after French, actually. And that's going to be very difficult because, I can read and pronounce and speak enough Spanish to know if something's horribly wrong with the book cover. Like, that's not right. But when it comes to Chinese, even though I speak Chinese, conversational level Chinese, I don't read it. I never learned to read Chinese because it's all character based. Every word is a little painting. Every word is a picture. And you have to memorize them all. You can't sound it out. It's not phonetic. So if my system starts producing Chinese covers, I have no idea if they're correct. Fortunately, I know lots of people who can read Chinese, so I'll run it by them. Like, what does this say? Also, I should tell you, so my goal is to do multiple languages, obviously, and to share this knowledge with the world. So we now have the bandwidth capability. We have the cost efficiency down where we can handle a lot of downloads. We can handle a lot of traffic, and we can handle a lot more people generating books. So spread the word, and let's help get knowledge out to the world. Now, one other thing I wanted to mention, I wrote the program that does the book cover translation. So please forgive me for the mistakes that are still there. The translated covers are not perfect, but they're pretty good. Some of them are perfect, but some of them are not. And I got to tell you, after building all the code for this and spending, actually over the weekend, I did this project, and it's harder than it looks because an English book cover, the words can be very, very artistic. They can be obviously different colors, different locations, different kind of fonts and bolding and outlines. And then you have to somehow clean off all the English words and take the words away from the background and then just have a clean background with no words. All right, so that's step one in doing a book cover translation. So I have to use AI engines that can see and that can think about imagery in order to do that. And of course, my rule is I only do it on local compute, local hardware with open source models. I don't use any APIs to do this. I don't use Google or, Open Router or whatever. I don't use any of that. This is all happening locally. So it's tricky. And I went through a lot of issues. But anyway, once you get a background that's clean, then you have to, draw the Spanish words. And of course, you have to do the Spanish translation, but that's the easiest part because that's, automatic with AI engines today. But you have to draw out the Spanish words with some resemblance to the original English title, right? So if the English title is all bold yellow text, then you want the Spanish title to be bold yellow text, right? And this gets doubly complicated because Spanish is bigger than English. There's more letters in there overall. More letters. It's not as bad as German, where the Germans just add like 5 extra syllables onto every word for some reason. None of us know why. But in Spanish, they just have more letters. So it's going to take up more space, right? But the book is only so big. So what do? Do you compress it? Do you use a smaller font? How do you even sample the color of the original English? And frankly, some of the book covers just are fails. Some of them are just fails. And I have to manually then kind of requeue those for regeneration. But most of them work. I'm pretty happy with most of the covers. I think you'll like them. So, an English book that's like The Dental Revolution, how to regenerate your teeth, naturally. In Spanish, what is it here? La revolución del esmalte regenera dientes de forma natural.
Regenerate your teeth. The fuck?
There's more letters in there.
This fool talking about regrowing teeth?
But it's mostly good. So check it out. We do have, I think I last looked, it's 167 books that have been translated, but we don't have all the covers yet. So the covers take longer, and I'm looking at the cover engine over here.
Okay, I get it, buddy. You can help people write books. Let's get to some other shit.
We need your help to do that. So
Okay.
of decentralizing knowledge and bypassing gatekeepers and bypassing censorship.
I like them words. Bypassing gatekeepers.
In multiple languages for the whole world. That's what this is all about. So thank you for your support. All right, take care. On this year's Mother's Day, celebrate mom, and we've helped you do that with some amazing specials and some gifts and some really interesting new products, all available from healthrangerstore.com.
Word. Regrowing teeth is some new shit to me. I had no idea you could regrow your teeth. Interesting.
.com/
Quit selling shit, man. Keep it moving, Mike. Keep it moving, Mike. Okay, here we go.
Well, former FBI Director James Comey, who I think was actually made director by former President Trump, Trump's former administration, has been charged now under the current Trump administration with threatening the life of the president. And this refers to his, I believe it was a 2020.
You feel me? I was gonna get a gold. Get a gold. If I can regrow that motherfucker, let me get into this regrowing teeth. Hold on. What the feezy?
5 photo that he posted on social media where it was a picture of some seashells arranged to show the numbers 8645. Was it 8645 or 8647? Anyway, it referred to killing President Trump, clearly.
Yes, 8645 is diabolical. But I'm gonna have to get on brighteon.ai book section and find this literature on regrowing teeth. Everyone, if you are missing a tooth, whether it's in the front or the back, incisor, molar, canine, you can regrow your tooth. You say the Incans used to regrow. They tell me how they used to do that then. Now you, come on now, you Bennett, break it down. You should do a class on how Incans used to regrow their teeth, so people who missing teeth can regrow their teeth. My nigga, you feel me? I'm just saying. You facking around. You can tap into some. Oh boy, some paper. You out here having niggas regrow their teeth now. You can get paid. I mean paid. I'm just saying. Back to 8645.
Now, he's being charged with making that threat, but will this hold up to legal scrutiny? Now, I'm not a legal expert, so there will be others who will clearly be more informed on this particular point from the legal perspective, but I want to talk to you about the weaponization of government and that perspective. Now, don't get me wrong. James Comey, in my opinion, is a nefarious creature. He's evil. And he clearly abused the FBI back in 2017 to target Trump. He worked to set up Trump, and in particular, I think he set up General Flynn. Also, James Comey did some bad things, very bad things, and James Comey, in my opinion, should be prosecuted for some of the other crimes that he committed. But this one, posting this photo of the 8640, again, what was it, 47, or was he referring to 45 at that time? Maybe he was return of 45. But this photo, I doubt that this is going to hold up in court. And here's why. First of all, I don't believe James Comey when he says that he wasn't aware that those numbers had a specific meaning. That's nonsense. He's clearly lying. So yeah, he's a liar. He's a nefarious person. He's probably guilty of many other nefarious crimes that I would love for him to be prosecuted for. But for posting an arrangement of seashells on social media, this did not contain information that specifically called for other people to take the action of killing anyone. It did not make a specific direct threat in the sense of, like I'm going to pick up this so-and-so instrument and I'm going to track you down and I'm going to, end you or whatever. It didn't contain that kind of language. Now you might say, well, maybe it was a signal to somebody else. Maybe it was an activation signal, or maybe it would have inspired other people to take such actions against Trump. Well, that's a legal theory. I mean, maybe that'll hold up in court, maybe not. But if it were a signal, like a covert signal, then it wouldn't be so obvious. If it were a covert signal, it would be some other numbers, like 72 or whatever, instead of being obviously 86. So I don't think it's a hidden signal. Now, could you argue that it could have inspired somebody else to try to kill the president? Well, that's an argument, but even the recent attempted shooting at the Correspondents' Dinner, I'm not aware of anything linking that shooter's motivations to the James Comey post. So, and even if you could show that, it's pretty far-fetched, actually. I don't think this will hold up in court. I think this is the DOJ sending a message, maybe a little bit of a revenge message to James Comey, who did ruin the lives of many people and who did clearly abuse his power as director of the FBI. And this might be sending him a message, and maybe it's leverage for something else. And I think that's where we really need to look at this. Is this leverage to say to James Comey, okay, we'll drop these charges if you give up some other information, or if you agree to testify against somebody else that we actually want to prosecute more? I tend to think that's where this is headed. So this is my guess, this is probably a tool of leverage to get James Comey to do something else. And James Comey probably knows where a lot of the bodies are buried. You know, he's got skeletons in his FBI closet for sure. And this is a pretty strong way to assert leverage. But if he calls the bluff, and if this goes to trial, I don't think he could be found guilty of that in terms of a trial by jury. Although, remember that the legal system in America is itself the punishment. So just being dragged through this process, I mean, you know, General Flynn can speak to this, Roger Stone can speak to this. Just being dragged through the process of having to hire an attorney and defend yourself and do the depositions and show up in court, on and on and on. This is an arduous process at best, and it can bankrupt many people, and it can take all kinds of time and energy and cause all kinds of stress. So, you know, the process is the punishment, even if you're found innocent in the end. And since the federal government has essentially unlimited resources to direct at prosecuting you, like they did to Alex Jones, they can drag you through years of extreme costs and extreme stress and extreme disruptions of your life. So that's what James Comey is actually facing. Probably not a guilty decision. He's probably not going to go to prison over this. I'm very doubtful of that. But it could absolutely destroy his quality of life and cost him a tremendous amount of money, and it could bankrupt him. And the way this often works, when governments want to go after somebody, they will also start investigating their family members or business associates. And then they'll find something on a family member. And they'll say, oh, well, if you don't, you know, do what we want, then we're going to prosecute your daughter, or, you know, your sister, or your business associate, or whatever, on these charges. But if you cooperate with us, we'll forget about those other things. And this is part of the problem, by the way, of big government, is they have so much discretion about pressing charges. They can let all their friends go scot-free, even if they're committing crazy crimes like insider trading, while they selectively prosecute their political enemies. And clearly James Comey is a political enemy of the Trump administration. But again, Comey, if anyone deserves this, it's James Comey, because he weaponized the system against Trump. Clearly. And, you know, even though I don't agree with most of Trump's policies right now, I continue to defend Trump against the false smears. And you think about the whole Russia hoax, the collusion hoax that was run by, you know, all these Democrats and all these globalists and some of these left-wing lawyers, etc. The impeachments of Trump in his first term, the total collusion. I mean, just imagine, even the people that he had as Attorney General were all working against him. Even William Barr was working against him. It was unbelievable. So Trump was raked over the coals in his first term. And if some of those people who abused their power to target Trump in his first term, if some of those people get a little bit of karma here, I have nothing against that. But I don't like to see government weaponized and going after innocent people, obviously. That's my big concern, because a government that has the power to selectively target and destroy anyone they choose, that's a government that has the power to destroy your life or mine or anybody's life for any reason. And that can be dangerous. And we are clearly in some gray areas in that territory, you know, just spanning the last 4 or 5 presidents. I mean, Bill Clinton used to weaponize government against his political enemies, obviously. So did Barack Obama, and so did Joe Biden, even worse. And is that what Trump is doing now? Well, I don't know. I mean, that's you can decide what you think is happening. I think James Comey, more than almost anyone, deserves this level of scrutiny because he, in my view, he violated the law numerous times when he served as FBI director. So I'm glad he's not at the FBI. I'm not impressed with what Kash Patel is doing at the FBI. But my impression of Kash Patel is that he's mostly just hiding under the table, and he's not, weaponizing the FBI in the same way that the Democrats did. So I don't know. You can agree or disagree with that, but that's my impression at the moment. What I really want to see, by the way, is the arrests and prosecution of those who rigged the 2020 election. The people that stuffed the ballots, the people that ran the voting machines, who hacked them. And
Somebody just sent me something. One of my cousins sent me something on Facebook. Talking about, hold on, let me see this real quick. She say, please read proposed 28th Amendment and forward. This is it only takes 1 minute to read. 28th Amendment, 35 states and counting. Children of Congress members do not have to pay back their college student loans. Staffers of Congress family members are also exempt from having to pay back student loans. Members of Congress can retire at full pay after only one term. I'm gonna have to pull this shit up. They got life fucked up. Proposed 28th Amendment to the United States Constitution. Congress shall make no law that applies to the citizens of the United States that does not apply equally to the senators and or representative. And Congress shall make no law that applies to the senators and our representative does not apply equally to the senators. Why the fuck is it repeating itself? Congressional Reform Act of 2017. What is this shit? Might have to ask Grok about it. Or ChatGPT or something.
who altered them, the people who, reran the same ballots over and over again through the voting machine so they would count more than once, the people who faked the water leak at 3 a.m. Those are the people that I want to see prosecuted. And I have to wonder why those prosecutions aren't happening. Why not? And what about all the spies that colluded to create the Trump Russia dossier with all these made up lies about Trump? Those, and some of those worked for British intelligence, MI6. Some of those were freelancers or what have you. What's happening to those people? Maybe some of those people have already been taken care of and we just never heard about it. Maybe they've already been offed or something and it's not going to happen through the court system. I don't know. I guess that's a possibility, but those are some evil people as well. I would never do that to anyone. I would never take part in any kind of a nefarious smear campaign relying on just, made up stuff to attack and smear anybody. That's just so dishonest, so unethical. The kind of people who do that really deserve whatever's coming to them through the DOJ or whatever else the Trump administration decides to do to them. I have no sympathy
you talk about a corrupt
for deceivers and
DOJ.
liars and traitors, okay? But I do support the rule of law, and I do believe that James Comey deserves his day in court.
You right. This dude acting like the DOJ about business. Especially when it comes to politicians and these figureheads. Come on, man. Cut that shit out, Mike.
He has the right to defend himself. And I also think as a nation, we need to be very careful prosecuting people for memes, photo memes that have kind of a joking aura about them. There's a lot of people posting a lot of jokes it doesn't really mean they're seriously trying to get somebody killed. I would put this in that category, and I would hope that they would prosecute James Comey for other more serious crimes for which there is clearly a lot more evidence. So we'll see if that happens. But thank you for listening. I'm Mike Adams here. You can watch more of my videos if you wish at brightvideos.com, or you can read my articles at Nat.
Why is it not the end? You got more of this motherfucker?
For news.
Go to war. Well, I'm not sure he did. Trump made the decision to go to war. Well, I'm not sure he did. I think the Israelis made the decision.
Uh-oh, here we go.
And Trump was compelled to follow along with it. I think Mr. Netanyahu continues to exert far more influence and power.
I need to warm up me some lunch and listen to this last little piece.
And authority, frankly, in Washington, D.C. than Donald Trump. And that's why people are saying to me all the time, well, why haven't the Democrats stood up and insisted on an end to this? Why aren't they fighting this? And I said, because the same people that control the Republican Party control the Democratic Party. There isn't a profound difference there. They may differ on some other domestic issues, but when it comes to Israel and Iran, everybody's pretty much in the same boat.
Welcome to today's interview here on brightvideos.com. I'm Mike Adams, and I'm joined today by one of my favorite guests, and I think just a great all-around American. Colonel Douglas Macgregor joins us today. Welcome, Colonel. It's always a pleasure to have you on.
Well, thanks for the nice introduction. I appreciate it.
Well, I try to keep it short because you don't need an introduction. Everybody sees you. They you're well known now, and you have been calling this situation correctly for, even during the Ukraine-Russia conflict and now with what's happening in the Middle East. If only our leaders had the wisdom to listen to you, maybe we wouldn't be in this quagmire. What's your current overall assessment of where we are?
Well, I think at the moment, not a great deal has changed, unfortunately, in Ukraine. As far as the American side is concerned, we continue to waste dollars and time and resources on this criminal regime in Kiev that's just wallowing in corruption. And of course, you have the periodic conflict on the ground in eastern Ukraine, but I think the Russians at this point are getting ready to do something more dramatic than they have recently. I think they'll probably move more of their forces closer to the Dnieper River. But I still think the Russians, sadly, believe that at some point they're going to have an arrangement with the West, and not specifically with the people in NATO and the EU, that will bring the war to a close. I don't think it will, but there are still Russians that believe that. Now, as far as what's happening in Iran, we just went through this massive air and missile campaign, which never had much chance of success against a country that is half the size of India with 93 million people, surrounded largely by enormous mountain ranges and impassable deserts. But we did it nonetheless. And then we decided to add insult to injury when we said we wanted a ceasefire. The Iranians were not particularly interested in a ceasefire, but we said we wanted it, so the Iranians said fine, and then we instituted suddenly this blockade. I don't think we were ready to blockade, Iran and the Persian Gulf, but that's what we've done. I don't think we have enough forces to make it effective, and we're so far away because of fear of being sunk at sea that the ships are limited in what they can cover. So if you're going to sit 400 or 500 miles south of the Persian Gulf, and you've only got, let's say, 25 ships for almost 800 miles, you're in quite a bind to try and control everything coming in and going out. Now, for the moment, it looks like nothing really is coming in or going out, but that has more to do with the Iranians who are upset over the blockade. I think the larger picture, though, that everybody needs to understand is that the world is sliding towards a major depression. There's no understanding of just what this stoppage of the Persian Gulf has made in terms of impact on the rest of the world. Everything, nitrogen, phosphorus, aluminum, helium, all of your fertilizer, in addition to liquefied natural gas or any of the other petroleum products, makes it impossible for the world to continue with normal daily life. And so now you have the threat of famine that is growing with each passing day because the fertilizer is sitting aboard ships inside the Persian Gulf. And that fertilizer is critical in places like India, Southeast Asia, Korea, Japan. And in addition to that, of course, you have the minerals and metals that I mentioned. These things are absolutely vital if you're going to have computer chips and microcircuitry. You know that from your own experience. So if you don't have these things and the rest of the world is coming to a virtual stop, that means the rest of the world is staring at a depression. We here in the United States are very definitely looking at a recession, because when you have a rise in energy prices, you also have a drop in the availability of credit. Cheap credit is inextricably intertwined with cheap energy. Energy becomes more expensive, credit dries up. So some of your major financial firms, private equity firms like BlackRock and KKR and others are in very serious trouble. They're in such trouble, they're just illiquid, and they're trying to borrow money against the assets that they have under management because they have no cash and they can't pay anything out, which is why they've told their customers and the people that have invested with them, don't bother dropping by, we can't give you any money. That's Colonel, a very bad sign.
I want to add something to your, I think, correct assessment of the economic implications of this. I did a lot of research on this very point. I'm going to show an infographic that I created on my screen here, the coming famine, the engineered starvation of 2027. Yeah. And if you actually look at the research and which countries are most vulnerable, here we are. Sudan, Yemen, Somalia, Ethiopia, and Bangladesh are all the top tier, high risk nations with literally tens of millions of people that are already marginally on a starvation projection. If not for food aid, they would starve this year. But without the nitrogen that you just mentioned, without the energy, and by the way, Bangladesh, for example, has its own nitrogen production plant, but it needs natural gas, out of Qatar. That's not coming either. So just in these nations, these are the highest risk nations. And as you well know, you've talked about this. After that, then there's Egypt, and then there's India that are also going to suffer tremendously. We may not starve to death in America, but our people will end up paying much higher prices for food, which will have economic consequences. So can you talk more about Trump's decision to start this war could literally kill more people than the Holocaust?
Oh, easily. There's no question about it. And you're right to make the point that you put the worst cases up there, which are people that are always living on the margins as it is. But we need to understand that until the 1970s, we never stockpiled oil. It was the oil crisis of the 1970s that resulted in the creation of all these strategic reserves all over the world. And the people with the best strategic reserves, the most in reserve that can survive this better than anybody, are the Chinese. Now we're going to have our problems. People don't realize how much oil we import to California. And California has a limited number of refineries. And I've forgotten the exact number of how many barrels of oil per day they need to sustain themselves, but that's falling rapidly. Now, people say, well, we've got oil, yes, but it's not on the West Coast, which means it has to be trucked over the mountains to California. We don't have any pipelines that go from east to west. California is a basket case. Not only is it deeply in debt, but now it doesn't have the fuel that it needs to power what's left of its economy, which is not very good. So we're going to definitely have problems here at home. But I think the biggest issue of all for your purposes, and you're spot on this, is really fertilizer. And if you look at the fertilizer today, the amount that's being exported is a fraction of what's required for people all over the world. I'm talking about fertilizer coming out of the Gulf.
Right.
Now, you hit on something that's very important. Trump made the decision to go to war. Well, I'm not sure he did. I think the Israelis made the decision, and Trump was compelled to follow along with it. I think Mr. Netanyahu continues to exert far more influence and power and authority, frankly, in Washington, D.C. than Donald Trump. And that's why people are saying to me all the time, well, why haven't the Democrats stood up and insisted on an end to this? Why aren't they fighting this? And I said, because the same people that control the Republican Party control the Democratic Party. There isn't a profound difference there. They may differ on some other domestic issues, but when it comes to Israel and Iran, everybody's pretty much in the same boat. Now, we're going to have a vote, I think, coming up either tomorrow or the next day on the War Powers Act. I'll be very interested to watch that because I think we can expect all the Republicans to line up in support of the president's desire to continue this war no matter what. I'll be surprised if any Democrats don't also join. I think they may, but I don't think it has any chance of passing. So why did we go to war? Well, first of all, this is all about Israel. Contrary to what Donald Trump says publicly and his supporters, we don't have any reason to go to war with Iran. Iran presents no existential threat to us. And this argument that, well, look what they did to us when we were in Iraq. Well, what the Iranians did was that they provided some technology for improvised explosive devices to their Shiite co-religionists inside southern Iraq. But the Arabs quickly took that over. They manufactured them and built them. The Iranians had very little impact there. But they did what we would do if we had a Russian or Chinese enemy occupying Mexico. If the Russians or Chinese were as dumb as we are and tried to occupy Mexico the way we occupied Iraq, well, then I'm sure that we would provide the Mexican resistance with whatever it needed. That I see as something that one does because it's in one's interest to do so more than anything else. It's just a natural strategic outcome of an unwanted and unnecessary military occupation. But we also forget that when Saddam Hussein waged war against Iran and killed over 800,000 Iranians in the process because he wanted to capture their oil fields, and that's where most of the war was waged, and with missiles, of course, between cities, we supplied Saddam Hussein with all the materials he needed. We supplied him with weapons and equipment. We sent advisors over there. When I was a young officer commanding a tank company in, this got to go way back now to 1982, 83 at Fort Carson, Colorado. There were people leaving Fort Carson while I was there as a captain and going over to advise the Iraqis on how to fight the Iranians. We forget that. 800,000+ dead Iranians because of a war we actively supported against them in Iraq. Then, of course, we turned around, went back to Iraq in 1990, and you know the rest of the story.
And the chemical weapons that we supplied.
Oh, absolutely. And we go to the Germans to support that. We push the Germans into that, as we frequently do push our NATO allies to do things. So you're spot on. And if I were an Iranian, obviously, under the circumstances, I wouldn't feel much sympathy for us. But the picture itself is a very grim one, largely because of the economic picture that you're well familiar with. And I think that's something most Americans don't understand. They won't understand any of this until it hits them.
Yes, yes. What I love about your take on this is not only are you a highly experienced and highly educated, hands-on military man, a veteran, but also I would consider you an academic of military history as well. And I want to
actually, my background is entirely in international relations and comparative politics. The history is something I studied on the side.
That's interesting.
If you don't know the historical record, what are you going to say about politics?
Yeah. But let me give out your Substack, though, here, before you continue, please. Okay. You write on Substack, and here it is, McGregorWarrior.substack.com. I just want to encourage people to follow you on Substack because you have some really outstanding articles. So I'm sorry to interrupt you there. Go ahead.
No. My only point is that, unfortunately, we tend to compartmentalize a lot, and people that go into what they call political science frequently have a superficial grasp of historical experience, and they may or may not understand much about basic economics.
Right.
And that's the problem. So they build these models that are there to try and tell you what's going to happen. They don't work. Most models are useless. Some are useful, but most of them are not. And it's a big problem in our educational approach. But anyhow, that's another subject.
Well, that actually is a great segue to what I wanted to ask you about next, which is the long-term damage to the oil output or oil throughput capacity of these wells in Iran and also neighboring countries. And of course, big news just broke today or yesterday. The UAE is leaving OPEC. They're going to set their own, production at this point. But let me show you this infographic. It's another one I put together. Very few Americans actually know this, or very few people, that if the oil wells stop functioning, especially these low pressure wells that are in Iran, where the oil is barely flowing, if they stop and there's not flow for 2 or 3 weeks, or it could be as little as a few days or as long as a few months, then you can get 20 to 30% permanent loss of output of that well for a number of reasons. Water intrudes in the fissures. There can be paraffin blockages, all kinds of, the chemical engineers can figure that out. But the bottom line that you cover, that is that the economic consequences of this are now starting to add up day by day, where you can't turn it right back on. So talk to us about what that means for our world.
Well, in the short run, if we don't stop this air campaign right now, this air and missile campaign, if we don't disengage from what we're doing, and I say this in all sincerity, and I would do it if I were the president of the United States, I would say on humanitarian grounds, I am disengaging our forces from this war, because this is no longer a question of a dispute between ourselves, Israel, and Iran. This is a dispute that's having global impact, and I'm not interested in being responsible for what you described earlier. But the startup cost in the future, if we don't stop this, I think it'll be 5 to 10 years before most of these oil fields really recover from the damage that's being done to them. It's not just oil infrastructure, as you point out. You have a problem that we, by the way, have right now in Venezuela. And that's one of the reasons all the oil corporation CEOs that met with Donald Trump simply told him repeatedly, he didn't like it, didn't want to hear it. But they said, look, this is too expensive to go down there. The infrastructure's old. It would cost us hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars to go down there, refit, refurbish everything, and pump out oil, even from existing oil wells, for all the reasons that you've already cited. So you're talking, he talks about bombing everybody back to the Stone Age. I think we're not going to go back to the Stone Age, but we're certainly looking at a profound drop in our standard of living here in the United States and around the world. And that's going to last for several years. Every economist that I know has told me that repeatedly. If we don't stop this now, we continue this, and we do another 3 or 4 week air and missile campaign on the same scale that we did the last one, we're going to see damage that just won't be recovered for almost a decade in most cases.
It's like we're getting to the point where each day that ticks by right now can now have a price tag attached to it, a cost to the global economy and a cost to human lives. And it might be something like, I'm just guessing, but for each day that this war continues, another 50,000 people will starve in a year, or something like that. Maybe the number is smaller than that, but there's also an economic cost to this. For every day that ticks by, there's $200 million of losses to the global economy. So this is becoming, Trump is sort of exporting the cost to the rest of the world, while the American people are funding the weapons, and Netanyahu is giving him his orders. It's like everybody loses.
Well, it's I'm just looking right now at a chart that unfortunately, it's not available for you, but the bottom line is it's starting in April. The export of urea-laden ships out of the Gulf, in other words, urea, has gone from, 1 million tons down to 0.
Oh, wow.
To 0 right now. And that means, everybody who's trying to cultivate crops, the planting season is upon us. And it takes weeks and weeks for these ships to be, to arrive. I mean, it's not just, you're not just disrupting the supply train for this whole thing, the supply chain rather. You're doing exactly what you just said. You're making famine absolutely unavoidable. Now, I don't know if President Trump understands that, if this is being briefed to him. I don't know his attitude. The problem is that the Israelis want the destruction of Iran. That is their goal. This business, you said, well, how did we get into this? Well, it started out, we'll begin a campaign in support of the unrest, the supposed theory of millions of people who want to overthrow the evil regime. Well, that was always nonsense, and that failed quickly. Well, now what we have to do is decapitate, go in and destroy the regime. That didn't work. Well, now we have to cause the disintegration of the Iranian state and society. That's not going to happen. You know, we had 180 ships at sea during the Cuban Missile Blockade. That doesn't include all the submarines, but that included about 8 carriers, half of which were submarine chasers. Now, you stop and look at that. Remember that we were operating on our home waters, which meant that logistical support was easy. It was easy to reach a port. You could replenish quickly. You could pull ships off the line, send them back into port, bring them back, rotate them, whatever, rotate crews. We can't do that in the Indian Ocean. We have people that have been at sea for 10 months or more.
Wow.
Morale in the ships at sea is not good. They're miserable. Let's be frank, this is terrible duty. Anybody who's been to sea for any length of time knows it's tough. Well, this is worse. So there are a lot of people that are unhappy about that. Now, the other thing we're not talking about is the arsenal of missiles that we have at our disposal. You can read different kinds of accounts, and I don't like to go into numbers because I don't know when it becomes classified. We know we launched over 1,000 Tomahawks. Tomahawk missiles were actually not bad off in that particular area. In other words, we've got another 1,000 that we can expend, and we still have something left over. But when you move out of that into the Standard missile, into Patriot missiles, into theater high altitude missiles and so forth, we're scraping the bottom. And everybody misses the point that we are not mobilized for total war, which means that you're only producing a couple of hundred missiles or so every month, when in order to keep up with the demand, you need to do hundreds and hundreds of missiles every month, preferably 200 or 300 every week. The Chinese can produce 1,000 engines for missiles and rockets every day. So just stop and think about it. 1,000 rocket or missile motors every day. How many can we produce in a day? I think it's not going to be very many. And I doubt seriously we can get 30 out in a month.
Yeah, it's like single digits per day, maybe.
Yeah,
Colonel,
exactly.
Stand by. We need to wrap up. This is part 1 of our interview. And I know you're going to stay with us for another part. We're going to talk about the future for the American empire and your involvement in the national conversation in part 2 coming up. So folks, if you haven't yet seen part 2, you can find that at brightvideos.com, of course, free to watch. And thank you for watching today here. We've been talking with Colonel Douglas Macgregor, a true American, just an all-around amazing person, I think, whose voice has a special importance at this time in history. So thank you for watching today. I'm Mike Adams, and part 2 will also be posted. Take care. On this year's Mother's Day, celebrate Mom.
I ain't really got shit to say about that. I'm sitting there making a mess though. I'm stuffing my face and shit. I want to dig into this all these scientists that been getting unalive. Quit laughing at them. I'm just stuffing my face. Oh snap. I'm finna pull up Nami's favorite guy. We got the Lone Star Tick.
You've got the Lone Star Tick spreading all over the country that they admit now has this weaponized Lyme's disease that they declassified that CIA created. That's the CIA declassified that about a month ago. We already knew decades ago. I told you that. And they've added to it a beef allergy, another red meat allergy, so that if you get bitten by the tick, you become deathly ill or even die if you ever eat beef again. And then we have the WEF and UN 15 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, saying we're going to add this to ticks, and that way nobody can eat beef.
People eat too much meat, right? And if they were to cut down on their consumption on meat, then they would it would actually really help the planet. But people are not willing to give up meat. Yeah, you know, some people will be willing to, but other people, they may be willing to, but they have a weakness of will. They say, wow, this steak is just too juicy. I can't do it. I'm one of those, by the way. So, you know, but so here's the thought, right? So it turns out that we know a lot about, we have these intolerance to, for example, I have milk intolerance. And there's
what the fuck is you talking about, buddy?
People are intolerant to crayfish, so possibly we can use human engineering to make it the case that we're intolerant to certain kinds of meat, to certain kinds of bovine proteins. And there's actually analogs of this in life. There's this thing called the Lone Star tick, where if it
bovine is something we can do about bovine.
Bites you, you'll become allergic to meat. I can sort of describe the mechanism. So that's something that we can do through human engineering. We can kind of possibly address really big world problems through.
So there's probably not only ticks out there that'll make you allergic to eating meat, probably in them damn skeeters too. Probably in them Bill Gates skeeters too. Leave everybody in there, boy.
Human engineering.
And then right on time, Pfizer seeks to introduce Lyme's vaccine as states face worst tick season ever. Increase in alpha-gal syndrome meat. How many years ago did I tell you? Decades ago, alpha-gal syndrome is coming. Told you 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 3 years ago. Did dozens of shows the last few years saying, watch, it's spreading everywhere. Ticks are showing up thousands of miles of where they were because they're being dropped out. Turns out the CIA developed this at Plum Island. I'll show you the news articles. They took the Nazi scientists at Plum Island off New York after World War II, weaponized syphilis, called it Lyme's disease, put it into ticks. Now they've added this other pathogen with it, and the syphilis is the carrier for the alpha-gal syndrome. What foods can trigger reactions? Beef, pork, lamb, venison. People on the street, all over the corporate news, indicated weaponized syphilis, tick-borne, how the CIA at Plum Island, independent news, everywhere are talking about how the CIA at Plum Island created weaponized syphilis, tick-borne, known as Lyme's. That was known decades ago. It's now been fully declassified a month ago. Deer swam from Plum Island, they said by accident, that had the ticks and put it on the mainland decades ago. No. They're spreading these things. They're releasing these things. There's even Bill Gates projects studying them and releasing them in the wild, just like he does the mosquitoes. We have it all here, okay? You want the full spectrum analysis, because most people just cover a piece of it, and that's bad enough. Big Pharma coming out with, Lone Star tick vaccines that have all these horrible side effects. But people are now dying who've been bit by the tick when they eat beef. And then we have the UN, the WF, and others in documents and reports going back 15 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago.
Hey, people killing over after eating beef because they got bit by a tick is a demonic, diabolical. Something got to be done about these people, man. You need to make your daughter aware of paying attention to the messages over the messenger. She would do a lot. She can do a lot in life if you follow that philosophy. Not paying so much to the messenger as you do to the message that the messenger may be speaking. Now, you you cannot like this man. You can have dislike to him, but if you DYOR, do your own research, hey, you'll see that man ain't lying. I don't personally like this dude. I don't think I can sit down with this dude and have or hang out with this cat and not feel some type of way. Like, man, if you'll get your ass away from me, nah. But I can look past him and listen to the information. Your daughter sound like Nami.
And I've got the video clips and the reports.
We'll tell her, prove him wrong. When it come to this loan store, this tick shit, the Bill Gates mosquitoes and all that shit, it's on her to prove this shit wrong. How about that?
On TV going, well, we can just give a tick now, this particular pathogen through the Lone Star tick, and then we will give you a violent meat allergy so you can't eat beef. It's really bad with beef, but it's other red meats. But that's the main red meat people eat. Lamb, you name it. I mean, you're talking, and I know so many people that particularly work in ranching in Wisconsin, Texas, you name it, Tennessee, personally, who got bit by the Lone Star tick and now can't eat beef. I mean, this is sick. I'm telling you, in my hierarchy of stuff, for fleshly pleasures, a perfectly cooked steak is right up there with the best piece of ass you can get. I'm sorry to be graphic. I mean, that's like taking away women. I mean, this is just absolutely...
To a savage, maybe. The fuck you talking about? A perfectly cooked steak is right up there in line with some nookie? Man, get your ass out of here.
These people are the most evil scum you can imagine. The Bible in Genesis talks about cows like 50 times. And how cows are the best and how wonderful they are and how God, you gave them the grass to have the cows and the cow's a gift to us. And the Indian Hindus worship the things. I mean, you just give them grass and you get milk and you get cheese and you get butter and you get beef. I mean, it's just the Native Americans with the bison, it's just a wild cow. Well, how did we take out the Native Americans, the Plains Indians? Well, we took out their meat supply. So I am uber sick of these people. But now they've done it. They've launched it. I've been on there 32 years. But I was fascinated with globalists and transhumanism and the futurists and what they were planning since I was a little kid, because my family was aware of it and always talking about it. So I was reading some Zbigniew Brzezinski books when I was 10 years old. And they would always, and even when he was a college professor of history, even Newt Gingrich wrote a book back in the late 80s where he said, we're going to genetically engineer humans and we're going to use high-tech vaccines to do it. Everybody will have microchips hooked into computers. So Gingrich acts like a good guy and says a lot of good things, but he's definitely one of them. And so I've known about their theoretical plans for a long time. But we're not in theoretical plans now. Just last week, the Netherlands is set to pass a law to make human clones legal, and because two men want to have a baby, so it won't really be a human, but we'll splice their genetics, and we'll also put animal genes in if it helps. Human-animal hybrids. I mean, it's like passing laws to do it. Of course, they've already done it in laboratories. So we are so far into the future, it's just not evenly distributed, and people hear this stuff and it sounds crazy. I don't blame you not thinking it's true, but it is. So they've been obsessed with getting us off of beef for at least 70 years, the Club of Rome. There's a lot of reasons for that, but if you study the whole world, where cows are in Africa, Europe, Latin America, the US, most farming is sustained by cattle ranching with it. And cows are so magic, they just eat grass and you get all this good stuff from them: milk, cheese, butter, beef. And if you can take cows away from people, which are doing in the Netherlands and Ireland and Sri Lanka, farming totally collapses. And that's what Bill Gates wants, to make you eat synthetic fake meat grown from the tumors called an immortal cell line of Henrietta Lacks, a dead black lady. You just throw a chunk of her tumor in, they've created hundreds of thousands, millions of pounds of her meat. And you just throw a chunk in with whatever you want. You throw a chunk of her tumors in with, say, duck. duck cells. And you'll grow a gigantic vat in just a few weeks of duck cells. Because it's a cancer cell, but it takes over and replicates that same cell. That's a dumbed down way of saying it, but that's how it works. You can throw a chunk of her cells in, just a cup of it, in with salmon, and you'll grow a giant vat of fake salmon. But it's cancer cells you're eating. Wait till those don't all get killed by the acid in your stomach and guts and get into your colon. Get ready for some colon cancer, which is in the studies. So that's how insane this is. I can go on for 100 hours with just other little insane factoids. Like all your cars have kill switches and AI is watching you right now if you have a new car. Mainstream news finally. People finally listen. Sounded crazy when I warned you. So that's the plan. So about 15 years ago, the Club of Rome came out, and then about 8 years ago again, and then about 5 years ago, S. Matthew Lau of the World Economic Forum, this professor, came out and said, we can put in a tick a disease where you'll be given an autoimmune response to beef, and you'll never be able to eat beef again. Beef are bad because cows fart, that hurts the earth, which isn't true. You know, the AI can have all the water and all the energy in the nuclear reactors at once, but you can't eat steak because you're bad, you pass gas, you pass methane, cows pass methane. That's what holds the atmosphere in. That's good. Methane's part of the atmosphere. But they're teaching you you're bad, carbon-based life's bad, silicon's good. So he came out in a couple speeches 6 years ago and then again 5 years ago and said, we can give you this disease. Well, Bill Gates was already here and around the world open air testing ticks with Lyme's disease with this added pathogen to give you a beef allergy. And now the Lone Star tick is exploding everywhere. 60 Minutes is, reporting on it. CNN's reporting on it. Oh, suddenly this new thing born by the tick is beef allergies, and people are dying that eat beef after they're bitten by the tick. So Bill Gates is saying, hey, you're not going to put billions into fake lab-grown beef that doesn't have the allergies, it's not really beef. Boy, he sure knew what he was doing, didn't he? And then right on time, Pfizer seeks to introduce Lyme's vaccine as states face worst tick season ever. Increase in alpha-gal syndrome meat. How many years ago did I tell you? Decades ago, alpha-gal syndrome is coming. Told you 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 3 years ago. Did dozens of shows the last few years saying, watch, it's spreading everywhere. Ticks are showing up thousands of miles of where they were because they're being dropped out. Turns out the CIA developed this at Plum Island. I'll show you the news articles. They took the Nazi scientists at Plum Island off New York after World War II, weaponized syphilis, called it Lyme's disease, put it into ticks. Now they've added this other pathogen with it, and the syphilis is the carrier for the alpha-gal syndrome. What foods can trigger reactions? Beef, pork, lamb, venison. Not as likely, but poultry, fish, eggs, most dairy. Well, that'll cure you, that won't it? Which makes your brain smaller, makes you lower IQ when you don't eat high-protein animal products. So they mean business. So here's Matthew Liao, the professor, talking about this a few years ago.
So I'll give two examples. So one is that people eat too much meat, right? And if they were to cut down on their consumption on meat, then they would it would actually really help the planet. But people are not willing to give up meat. Yeah, some people will be willing to, but other people, they may be willing to, but they have a weakness of will. They say, wow, this steak is just too juicy. I can't do it. I'm one of those, by the way. So, but so here's the thought, right? So it turns out that we know a lot about, we have these intolerance to, for example, I have milk intolerance. And some people are intolerant to crayfish. So possibly we can use human engineering to make it the case that we're intolerant to certain kinds of meat, to certain kinds of bovine proteins. And there's actually analogs of this in life. There's this thing called the Lone Star tick, where if it bites you, you'll become allergic to meat. I can sort of describe the mechanism. So that's something that we can do through human engineering. We can kind of possibly address really big world problems through human engineering.
Yeah, that's your social credit score. Bill Gates' backed lab-grown meat company receives USDA approval. Here's when you can expect to taste this new protein delicacy. Now, look at these headlines. Human engineering to fight against climate change. Give you alpha-gal syndrome. Talk about a social credit score. Talk about enslavement. Tim Pool says, the Lone Star tick is spreading rapidly and can make you allergic to beef. The good news is that thanks to billions in lab-grown meat investment, an alternative can be grown that won't trigger the allergy. What a perfect coincidence. Local ERs are already seeing lots of visits of tick bites. Here's what to know. Beef allergies. Alpha-gal syndrome from Lone Star tick bites, an emerging public health concern in Massachusetts. Pfizer seeks to introduce Lyme vaccine, and states face worst tick season ever, increase in alpha-gal syndrome meat allergies. A second death from tick-borne meat allergy. Off the menu, the first death from a tick-borne meat allergy. They used peanut protein to grow vaccines in the 80s and 90s, created a giant peanut allergy. See, same thing. Real simple. And now they're saying their vaccine will do it. Oh, you won't get Lyme disease, syphilis, but you can't eat meat. Isn't that Massachusetts? Pfizer seeks to introduce Lyme vaccine, and states face worst tick season ever, increase in alpha-gal syndrome meat allergies. A second death from tick-borne meat allergy. Off the menu, the first death from a tick-borne meat allergy. They used peanut protein to grow vaccines in the 80s and 90s, created a giant peanut allergy. See, same thing. Real simple. And now they're saying their vaccine will do it. Oh, you won't get Lyme disease, syphilis, but you can't eat meat. Isn't that loving and liberal? So they're throwing it all in your face, ladies and gentlemen. Tick-tock, it's only a matter of time before dangerous tick disease reaches causes of disaster, if it isn't already. Climate change, could we engineer humans? BBC. Then how ticks became bioweapons. Spectator. How the CIA weaponized them. They admit the CIA did it. See how that works? See how that works? How long ago did I tell you this was going to happen? Over a decade. Because I had experts on exposing it all. That's Bill Gates. And what's he do? He releases weaponized mosquitoes in Florida, in Texas, in Brazil. And then the diseases explode. He wants to depopulate you, but he wants you to take a shot so you don't die. That doesn't make any sense. The Roman Enlist said, the victor is not victorious if the vanquished does not consider himself so. A nicer way to say what I said earlier, that you're not defeated until you tell yourself you're defeated. Let me do a shot of this. The victor is not victorious if the vanquished does not consider himself so. And we are far from that. It is the contrary. So there is the reality of that as they bomb us with ticks and mosquitoes.
That's a trick phrase, though. This is not crimes against crimes against humanity. Humans. What are humans? Is it a crime to treat a human a specific way? Monsters or animals? So you can dig deep on that one. I'm just saying.
And everything else. How much of this are we going to put up with? How long are we going to put up with the reign of the mad scientists attacking us? Hands down, this is the biggest sale in the history of InfoWars. And it just so happens Bigley lined us up for this week with all these products that just came in.
Yowzers. The hell with your sale. Yeah, that's the coin term for sure. But on the legal aspect, when they dig deep in them law book and the legal, say it's not crimes against humanity. It's not a crime to treat an animal this way, or well, you got animal rights. Well, it's a monster. Well, it's not it's not an animal. It's a monster. Some shit like that. I need to find these stories on all these scientists. The hell? The longest solar eclipse of the century is coming. Day will turn into night. Daily galaxy. Interesting. Well, that was about it, man. I ain't got shit else. All right, on for spending some time with me this rising. Until the little early afternoon. I'm gonna get out of here. I need to go out here and cut this grass. Yep. Y'all be easy. Fat meat greasy. Yay.
Yeah. Listen up. You have to pick a side. Yeah. 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 They profit when we're boxed in, color coded. Scroll wars, broke floors, mine's corroded. Got you barking at your neighbor for a headline. While they signing off the city for a deadline. Yeah. Same rent late, same fridge bare. What? Same bus route, same blank stare. Why you beefing with the mirror, letting them demons in? Same wound, same blade, different spin. Unified die, that's the bottom line. Either hold the line together or they cut the spine. You can fight me or you can fight the lie. Choose one, unify or die. Unify, die, hear the battle cry. Yeah. Either build a bridge or we all run dry. You can hate your blood or you can hate the bind. Choose one, unify or die. They sell fear like it's candy in a glass jar. Feeding panic to the masses, playing a black card. Left, right, that's a puppet in a split suit. Real power sitting quiet in a rich room. You throw hands at your brother in the same trench. Same cough in your chest, the same bench. If the landlord love you both in the same way, you ain't rivals, you just victims on a layaway. Unified die, that's the bottom line. Either hold the line together or they cut the spine. You can fight me or you can fight the lie. Choose one, unify or die. Unify, die, hear the battle cry. Either build a bridge or we all run dry. You can hate your blood or you can hate the bind. Choose one, unify or die. Hands up, not for trends, for each other. Name one win, they ain't split us to cover. We all broke, they just changed the shade. Same storm, different rain on our face. I'm from a place where they rather see us vilify. Scrolling through the pain, pick a side, then we signify. Algorithm war, every comment like a battle cry. Either we expand the circle, or we simplify. Feet keep telling me I'm right, that's a lullaby. Rockets all to sleep, while the roof sitting over fire. Leaders talk tough, but they courage only monetized. I'm just trying to build a bridge higher than the border signs. Kids growing up thinking empathy is obsolete. Hearts on red receipts, love lost in the data sheet. History repeats when we treat truth like a product line. Either share the water or we watch the whole garden die. So I look my people in the face when the sirens cry. Pull each other up even when we don't see eye to eye. Hands in the middle, swear we live in what we testify. Say we rise together, this the code, unified die. Unified die, that's the bottom line. Either hold the line together or they cut the spine. You can fight me or you can fight the lie. Choose one, unify or die. Unified die, hear the battle cry. Either build a bridge or we all run dry. You can hate your blood or you can hate the bind. Choose one, unify or die.
Push your face and break your bones. Don't you dare step foot in the places that I roam. I move quiet but don't want it loud. One wrong look and I'm clearing the crowd. Constant ring and notifications on my phone. Quit all assuming and guessing about what I be on. I don't do talk when the pressure rise. I make a man fold quick with the stare in my eyes. Don't step close, don't step close. You know the code, you know the code. Keep your doubts, keep your jokes. Quit all guessing what I quote, what I quote. Don't step close, don't step close. I don't play when I got smoke. I've been solid since the first day. Same old hunger, just a coat away. They hear rumors and they get brave. Then they switch up when I hit the wave. Bust your face face and break your bones. Don't you dare step foot in the places that I roam. Constant ringing notifications on my phone. I stay locked in, never caught off tone. They want a story, I give them none. I let my silence do what they can't front. Quit all assuming and guessing about what I be on. I move sharp, make the whole room run. Don't step close, don't step close. You know the code, you know the code. Keep your doubts, keep your jokes. Quit all guessing what I quote. Don't step close, don't step close. I don't play when I got smoke. Last one standing, still I don't brag. I just keep it tucked in the paper bag. Every fake friend turn into a ghost when they see me post up near the coast. Bust your face and break your bones. Don't you dare step foot in the places that I roam. Constant ringing notifications on my phone, but I stay too focused to answer slow. Quit all assuming and guessing about what I be on. I got a whole life built from the ground up strong. So don't walk near like you know me well. I got my own lane, I move by myself. Don't step close, don't step close. You know the code, you know the code. Keep your doubts, keep your jokes. Quit all guessing what I quote. Don't step close, don't step close. I don't play when I got smoke. I ain't beefing with the demon, I confront the bitch. Every scar on my soul, oh yeah, I done it. Devil banging, working the drum kit. Mama praying in the pew saying son quit. But I'm stitched from the cloth where you stand on shit. If I did dirt, then my word got my hands on it. Devil in my ear selling dreams on a payment plan. Told me I could fly, but he hit the facts quicksand. Whole block worship what they can't own. Flexing face stones, renting fake loans. I seen killers turn clown when the case closed. Talking about guys playing, they just hate growth. I wouldn't need deep gun tuck, heart froze. Spirit whisper, tell the truth for your soul. So had to kill the lie living in my own head. For the lie, put a mark on my forehead. The devil is a lie, I don't buy that. He talk big but he high, I don't like that. Put my life on the line for the right facts, rather down the truth than down the rat trap. Devil is a lie, I won't side up. If it ain't real, then the deal getting dry. I still be straight in my eyes, I don't write cap. If my tongue saved, then my backbone back there. I done broke bread with the crooked and the holy. Pistol in the trunk, speaking scripture through the Sony. Pastor shaking hands, but his eyes looking phony. Devil wear cologne, smell rich, call your homie. Offer me a bag for my silence and my honor, trying to make me lie to my seed. But I'ma tell him about his mama, told him I'm a man. Not a product, not a comma, you can keep the chaos. I ain't chasing your drama, homie took a shortcut, now he short-lived. Told the lie so long that it walked him. Trying to paint his past like a portrait, but the blood on his hands wrote the forfeit. I see snitches throw dirt on the dead name, crying in front of a headstone bearing his name. Talk loud, but they souls speak a dead slang. Got you like a tooth walk, he don't need game. The devil is a lie, I don't buy that. He talk big, but he high, I don't like that. Put my life on the line for the right facts, rather down the truth than down the rat trap. The devil is a lie, I won't side. If it ain't real, then the deal getting dry. Still be straight in my eyes, I don't write cap. If my tongue said, then my backbone back there. And tell me play along, you can shine more. Kept a little one, the body count, crime low. Say you ain't a whole city, make them one war. Would I rather be small than a big fraud? My little cousin looking up like I'm scripture. What I say turn his choices to a mixture. If I glamorize the page in my stories, he gon' chase bars, never take glory. So I'm talking about the nights I was dead, bro.
About the cold flows, about the stress smoke, about the friends in the ground who ain't get old, about the weight on my chest when I'm big cold. Truth cutter, but it clean with slice through. Fear talk cute, but it bite you. A devil in the deal, read the fine print. I just sound with the light, let my life in. The devil is a lie, I don't buy that. He's so big, but he high, I don't like that. Put my life on the line for the right facts. Rather die on the truth than die in the rat trap. The devil is a lie, I won't side up. If it ain't real, then the bill getting dry. Still me spreading my eyes, I don't write cat. If my tongue say it, then my backbone back there.
Murder on my mind. 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 Bang, 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 bang. My shooter staying close cause he can't afford the range. Bang, 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 bang. Woke up this morning and my Glock said the same thing. I got murder on my mind, I can't leave it alone. Shot the Reaper in the head, now I lead in the score. And if we beefing then you dead, you should know that it's on. He was bleeding out of red, seen his soul on the floor. It's all love with my thugs, cause we feeling the same. The AR is a drug, that's the way that it's saying. The AR is a drug, that's the way that it's saying. Bang, 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 bang. I got murder on my mind. Check our bills. Before I send a deal, I need 10 mil. Baby, I'm so cold, I give chills. I remember I was down bad, trying to make a play. I ain't going back, I don't care what it takes. When I was down bad, I didn't never wait, but I ran it up fast like I did away. So there's money on my mind, there's money on my mind. I won't ever stop my grind, cause I'm one of a kind. All this money on my mind, there's money on my mind. I won't ever stop my grind, cause I'm one of a kind. My bitch got an ass like, oh Lord. They play my song and she hit the dance floor. Don't think she can handle it no more. She screaming on cold. All this money on my mind, this money on my mind. I won't ever stop my grind, cause I'm one of a kind. All this money on my mind, this money on my mind. I won't ever stop my grind, cause I'm one. I got murder on my mind, 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 murder on my mind. What the fuck you saying to me? Why these niggas keep playing with me? Shit, I don't need security, cause the glicky stay close to me. But you don't want smoke with me, cause it ain't no joke with me. Glicky, it stay close to me, so I don't need security. I got the Glock on my hip and it stay close. Got it from a real P that ain't no goals. Might spin a block and hit him with the Draco. These niggas all looking fake, no silicone. You want a bag, gotta get it on your own. I can see the snakes, that's why I keep the chrome. Shit ain't sweet, you better watch your tone. Got it out the mud, we ain't had no loans. Murder all the time. Got a couple shooters that are really mine, and we all strapped up. It's not a good time. I got murder on my mind, and I'm thinking about murder all the time. Got a couple shooters that are really mine, and we all strapped up. It's not a good time. I got murder on my mind, and I'm thinking about murder all the time. Got a couple shooters that are really mine, and we all strapped up. It's not a good time. I got murder on my mind, and I'm thinking about murder all the time. Got a couple shooters that are really mine, and we all strapped up. It's not a good time. I got murder on my mind, murder on my mind, murder on my mind. I got murder on my mind, murder on my mind, murder on my mind, murder on my mind.